Good evening, I'm Cynthia and you are tuning in to our One Review. Now, just as business leaders are starting to think about business recovery in 2021, we are faced with another MCO to bring the virus under control. Now, what can business leaders do to speed up recovery and maybe even thrive under such uncertain times? Joining me on the show tonight to speak about this is Sheila Singam. She is the founder and managing partner of Human Equation. Right, thank you, Sheila, so much for coming on our One Review tonight, making time for this. We really want to talk about return to a sense of normalcy. Yes, we are in our second lockdown, but the prospect of returning to normality is really going to happen when there is a vaccine rollout. It's something that we are looking forward to. But until then, how can businesses prepare themselves right now and also moving forward?
I think the first MCO, it was a bit of a shock and people grumbled and all that, but people did see the necessity of it. We have never been through anything like this in our lives, many of us. So in the beginning, it got to be a bit of a novelty. And I even had people telling me that we kind of like that quiet of being in our homes and doing business from home. But then, towards the end of the year, everyone went, okay, it's a new year, there's new things ahead, like as if the crossing over of one day is going to make such a big difference. But now I think there is a sense of, okay, we kind of know what to do, but we had made some recovery plans, and now we got to put that on hold. But at the end of the day, this thing is going to go on. We don't know for how long. They're saying that they need a certain number of weeks as a circuit breaker. So it might be that. Might be more than 2 weeks. It might even go on to what MCO 1.0 was. The thing is, I have found, Cynthia, that sitting down and getting frozen and waiting for it to pass is not going to be very helpful. We need to be looking at what we need to do now. We need to be looking at enterprise resilience. How do we create our enterprises right now to be more resilient? So the things that we can do right now is to start looking at consumer behavior. Consumer behavior has changed from MCO 1.0 till now. It changed, and even when they lifted restrictions, okay, people still did go out, started going out to restaurants and malls and all that, but there was still a huge portion of people who were still like ordering food from restaurants, ordering things, and also e-commerce is here to go, and it's not it's here to stay, and it's not going to go. So what we need to do is to be looking at consumer behavior, not just in terms of e-commerce trends and all that, but also in terms of what consumers want now. The priorities of customers have changed quite a bit, especially with MCO 2.0. You're going to find that they're going to be consolidating their resources, the cash flow a bit more. Mm-hmm. So they're going to be a bit particular about what they're spending on.
What business leaders, organization leaders, what should they prioritize for the time being as we face another round of MCO, and also not knowing just how long this might last? We thought 2020 was the worst, and now heading to 2021, we expected some kind of recovery. We hit a speed bump. So it is a unknown, prolonged uncertainty that is really, really driving a lot of anxiety among business owners. So what should they prioritize for this period?
Okay, so Cynthia, my company is called Human Equation. So I always say we will have to prioritize the people first. Who are the humans, the people you're talking about in this instance? It's your own internal stakeholders, your employees, as well as your external stakeholders, which is your customers. So what leaders need to be prioritizing right now, they need to be looking at the cost, okay? Mm-hmm. Keeping their costs down. We need to be going back to our people internally and asking them, what are they comfortable with? Now, leaders need to learn to trust their people. Once upon a time, before MCO 1.0, everyone turned around and said, oh, no, we cannot have our people working from home. Everyone must come to office. And then what happened? For 3 months, everyone was working from home except the essential services. And then we found out people can work from home. And interestingly, people were doing better. Of course, they were, there are people who were getting used to digital platforms and all that sort of thing. So there was a bit of a glitch there until everyone got comfortable. Today, from the youngest to the oldest employees, they all know how to work digitally. So, but still, right now, you need to be looking at the welfare of people. People are scared. Once again, everyone is scared. Okay, it's not just about the economic situation. It's also, everyone says, oh, an emergency situation, an MCO. What does this mean? But I think we need to stop looking outside and getting sort of nervous about the things that are happening out there. We need to start looking inside, looking at our people. What is it that we're going to be able to do as leaders to make it most comfortable, to make them most productive? And the things that I kept hearing from people during MCO and so on, the people working from home, is that they wish they had more respect from the employers, and that the leaders were able to sort of understand that when you're in lockdown at home with your family and children who can't go to school and all that sort of thing, there's a whole different set of responsibilities. Mm-hmm. It's not like an office situation where 9 to 5 you're there and you're not supposed to be distracted. I have to take care of these things. That's what's in the minds of people. So there needs to be you need to be looking at time, you need to be looking at convenience and so on. What are they afraid of? If you are asking them to come back on alternate weeks to the office, even the journey going to the office, is it safe for them? Is the office safe for them? Even stepping into a lift and going to your office within the building, how safe is that? What do they want? So all of these things have to be considered. Mm-hmm. Also need to be talking at your employees to find out what is their perception of the company culture right now. Culture has changed in the past 1 year. Is it better? Is it worse? What can we do? So that is looking at your employees. And then again, the customers, as I mentioned before, having conversations, doing surveys, focus groups. You can do all of this online to find out from the consumers, what are you doing right? What are your products that are great? What are not so great in terms of your services and so on? So looking at people. And this is the time I think that companies should be looking at loyalty programs. Yeah, because the people who stayed with you through this time, they need to be rewarded. You know what I see sometimes, Cynthia? I've been say, a customer of a particular business for 20 years, 30 years. They never offer me anything. But then when someone new, they put in all these adverts, if you sign up now, you get the extra this and that. And I'm going, hey, what about me? So things like that. You need to be looking and rewarding those who are really loyal to you.
We'd like to ask also, during this time, communication is very key, because now that we do everything online, right? But perhaps sometimes what leaders may struggle is to communicate what they want or their vision during this time of pandemic. What are your thoughts on that?
I think today it's become more imperative than ever for leaders to have constant communication. This ivory tower leadership, it cannot last. You cannot last, your company cannot last, your people are going to get frustrated. Now, Cynthia, very interesting. You think that during a pandemic situation, people would be scared to quit their jobs, right? But there are people quitting their jobs because they're so frustrated with the way that they're being treated. You can't treat people working for you in a pandemic situation, working from home, the same as you did when they were coming to the office. In fact, if you were treating them badly then, this is going to be the defining moment in your period in your company's history, that it's really going to be very telling. So people are quitting. Some people would rather quit and just start some business of their own, a food business or something like that. So now more than ever, the leaders have to do what we call, in Malaysia, turun ke padang. You need to be interacting. Of course, you can't go into an empty office and interact with who, but you got to do more of these online sort of meetings with people. If you're the CEO of the company, you could have the CEO's breakfast online. Everybody gets a cup of coffee in your breakfast, and look, today I'm going to have a morning, half an hour, 20-minute chat with all of you to find out how you guys are doing, just about how you are doing. Right? That's why I say look into the welfare. Mental health is becoming an issue now. Then, and for the introverts, MCO 2.0 is okay, me time again. But the extroverts, they need to go out. They need the camaraderie of an office environment, the coffee corner, they go makan at lunchtime, after hour, teh tarik, and so on. And they're not having that now. And having a CEO communicate with them is so important, right, at this time. It gives people a sense of belonging. I think it's important for CEOs to communicate with their customers. During the second month of the pandemic, I actually received an email. Of course, it was a computer-generated email, but it had the signature of the CEO of the bank that I bank with. And I thought, oh, that's so good. That's so nice. I felt like a valued customer getting a computer-generated email, mind you. But it didn't last. If I had got another one, if I get another one now, then I'll say that they really care.
Okay, so Sheila, that's my point. We have time for one last question, right? So naturally, once the critical period has passed, we tend to fall back into our old habits, right? Maybe complacency. So looking forward, what do business leaders need to be mindful of to continue to prioritize the important things once the critical period has passed?
Yeah. So there is always the danger of going back into the comfort zone mentality. I think we saw that with the Malaysian public. Immediately, restrictions were lifted. Everybody is going out and, doing the same thing that they did before without mindfulness. And the numbers are showing. So in the same way in companies, you need to get out of the comfort zone mentality. You need to go back and re-examine all your policies and all your procedures, the things that you're doing, your governance framework. Governance is becoming very important now because in a time like this when, business is so hard to get and people are so afraid of losing jobs and all that, they're going to do anything to keep their jobs. So we need to be very mindful. And then we also need to be looking at your purpose, your values, and realigning people with the way you do business now. And this is where you need to be a leader who cares but has the firmness to say, look, you are either with us, you swim with us, or you're going to sink by the wayside, right? And then also, this is the time when you need to be inculcating a culture of innovation. Now, many times in a top-down hierarchical organization, people are afraid to give ideas and speak up. Because all you need is someone to say, this one, no, it's not relevant right now. You're way ahead of your time, or cannot pakai, or we don't have the resources. So one of the things that leaders need to be looking at now is within the constraints of your current resources, how can you innovate? And among the things that I advocate, one of the things that I do as an innovation consultant is to go in and use tools like design thinking, all right, to find out exactly what the market needs so that you can pivot. And the other thing is what we call systematic inventive thinking, right? So what happens is that looking at what you have now, what do we need to take away to bring down costs that are causing us to become a heavy organization? All right, we need to flatten structures. This is a time where structures need to be flattened. Too much hierarchy cuts off innovation. People need to be also rewarded to be creative. So if I come up with an idea which we can use, reward it, recognize people. As I said, people are beginning to feel so disconnected. And with MCO 2.0, we don't know how long more it's going to go. It's like back to square one. I'm disconnected again. We need to learn from the last time what we did do right, repeat it and accelerate it. What we did not do right, learn from that, correct it, and do what we need. And the best way is to talk to your stakeholders and find out what they want, what they need, and then come up with all the, the revisions, the innovations that you need so that you can take your business to and ensure that it's sustainable and continuous.